Now, Secretary of State Michael Pompeo has a very interesting relationship with the country of China. On one hand, he is one of China's biggest critics, often claiming that China and its government is one of the largest global security threats in existence today. But on the other hand, he sends out messages like this: "We continue to seek a better life for the people of China." Now, is the US government genuinely concerned about Chinese people? Are US politicians like Michael Pompeo genuinely concerned about improving the quality of life for Chinese? This is an interesting thing to think about. Let's discuss it in more detail. Hi everybody, my name is Cyrus Jansen. I'm an American expat that has been living around the world for the past 13 years, 10 of those being in Greater China, and if you're new to this channel, I make weekly vlogs about China and its role in society today. Now, it is the goal with this channel and every video that I produce to help more people around the world understand China. I believe that many people around the world fear China, but a basis for that fear is a lack of understanding. So I'm hoping these videos can serve as a cultural bridge to help the United States, Western countries, and China all work together in a unified global effort. To really understand the point that I'm making, let's take a look at this photo from September 2015. Now, this photo comes from the 8th US-China Internet Industry Forum in Seattle, Washington. And look who is standing front and center. That is China's President Xi Jinping. And surrounding him are some of the top CEOs from both American and Chinese companies. Everybody from Amazon's Jeff Bezos, Apple's Tim Cook, even Facebook's Mark Zuckerberg, and Jack Ma, the richest man in China representing Alibaba, and many top CEOs are all in attendance. Now, what's amazing about this photo is that it was not Barack Obama, the then president of the United States, who was standing in the center, but again, it was Xi Jinping, China's president, who personally flew from Beijing to Seattle to attend this historic meeting. And this was amazing because you had two huge superpowers, two very large competitors on a global stage that actually were coming together. They were saying, let's talk about technology. Let's talk about the internet. Let's talk about how China and the United States can work together to improve the lives of everybody in the world. This was an amazing meeting. But unfortunately, look how far we have regressed in just 5 short years. Now, this photo is from July 29th, 2020, and we have Amazon, Google, Apple, and Facebook CEOs all testifying under oath to Congress, answering a simple question: does China steal US technology? Now, these 4 CEOs did the only thing you're allowed to do under oath, and that is, of course, tell the truth. And the truth is that China did not steal any technology from any of these companies. And again, this is what China is always being accused of: stealing technology, being a national security threat. But the problem is, there's no evidence to prove this. Now, to give you some further perspective about this, let's talk about Huawei, the huge Chinese tech giant that was actually the first company that was targeted by the Trump administration. Now, for those of you that don't know, Huawei is the largest cell phone manufacturer in the world. It was started in 1987 and currently employs over 200,000 people around the world. Its products and its services can be found in over 170 different countries, and Huawei has partnered and worked with 80% of the top 50 telecommunication companies in the world. This is one of the most innovative and powerful tech companies in existence today. But the biggest threat for Huawei moving forward is simply being Chinese. This is a recent poll from Professor Emery Alkin. He is a top 100 economist in the world, and he asked his followers a simple question: what do you think is the biggest challenge of Huawei? 44% of the people felt that being a Chinese company is the biggest threat to Huawei moving forward. Now, I decided to run a very similar poll on my own Twitter account just to see if I could get any different results. What do you think the biggest challenge for Huawei is in the future? And I even changed the answer, being a Chinese company, to the 3rd position in the poll just to see if it had a different response. But no, 48.5% of people, nearly half, feel that being Chinese is the largest threat to this company. But how did we get here? How did we get to the point where a company's country of origin is now their greatest threat moving forward? So when Michael Pompeo says he wants a better life for the people of China, how is that possible when the United States government has been targeting anything Chinese as being a national security threat, including the people itself, over the last 18 months? Of course, this started with the Huawei ban. And then when the coronavirus came to America, as viruses inevitably do, we didn't label it by its scientific name. We decided to label it the China virus, or the Kong flu. Both of these terms considerably racist and led to a huge increase in Asian-related hate crime in America today. But then the rising anti-China sentiment continued to spread. It went to TikTok, it went to WeChat, it then went to Alibaba. Now the United States is looking to stop Chinese mobile payments within America. Even Chinese international students were labeled as communist spies. Michael Pompeo himself said at a meeting in Washington, D.C., that Chinese parents that are attending your local parent-teacher conferences are potentially spies of the Communist Party. So again, Michael Pompeo, how are you trying to help Chinese people and improve their quality of life? Now it's gotten so bad that even U.S. politicians are now trying to stop Chinese companies from doing business in China itself. This is Senator Marco Rubio from my home state of Florida, and he recently came out and said that the United States government needs to get involved and block Ant Group's IPO in China. Now, the Ant Group is a subsidiary of the Alibaba Group, one of the largest and most successful Chinese companies in the world today. And Marco Rubio said they need to block this. However, it's very strange to me because the Ant Group is not listing in the New York Stock Exchange. They originally intended to, but given the current geopolitical climate between America and China, they decided to instead do a dual listing between the Chinese cities of Shanghai and Hong Kong. So again, this is a Chinese company listing in Chinese cities, but yet the United States government wants to get involved and says that they should actively try to block this IPO. Again, this is not seeking a better life for the people of China. This is simply the United States government trying to ban competition. And this does affect Chinese people around the world. Chinese people that are in China, Chinese people that are abroad, and most specifically, Chinese Americans that are living and contributing to the economy in America itself. We have an amazing Chinese American and Asian American community for that matter in America today, but these relentless attacks are just simply undermining the millions of Asians that are an integral part of how great America truly is. But it's interesting, as I look back at that quote, we continue to seek a better life for the people of China. I believe that if Michael Pompeo were sitting right here in front of me, he would tell me this: Cyrus, what I mean by that is that I want to systematically change the government in China. It is the United States' goal to bring democracy into China. If we can do that, we will then increase the quality of life for the Chinese people. Now, the reason that I'm confident Michael Pompeo would say this is because he said similar statements like this before. The United States will always be a friend to those who love liberty. Now, what Michael Pompeo means in this statement is we will always continue to be a friend to anybody that endorses American democracy. However, we know that China does not want American-style democracy in their country today. They are very vocal about that, and they will fight against any foreign interference in China. And this is what is causing the friction. So, Michael Pompeo and the United States government is going to fight back and do the only thing they can do. They're going to slander China and say comments like this: the Communist Party of China has an enormous credibility problem. Now, Secretary of State Michael Pompeo is actually a very intelligent person. I truly believe this because he holds a degree from arguably one of the most famous universities in the world, of course, Harvard University, his alma mater, where he earned a law degree. But I wish Michael Pompeo would actually pay attention to some of the recent publications from his alma mater, because he could see an amazing report that was published this July by Harvard University's Ash Center. Now, this report, again, was published by the Ash Center, and it is a landmark study examining Chinese public opinion from the years 2003 to 2016. The conclusion is that Ash Center researchers found that Chinese citizen satisfaction with their government has increased virtually across the board. Now, the amazing thing about this report is that it is publicly accessible to anybody in the world. In fact, I will include a link to this report in the description down below. I encourage you to read it. It is a fascinating insight into the government of China and what the Chinese people actually think about China's government. But to save you some time, let's read the conclusion statement to that amazing report. Conclusion: continued resilience through earned legitimacy. Although China is certainly not immune from severe social and economic challenges, there is little evidence to support the idea that the Communist Party of China is losing legitimacy in the eyes of its people. In fact, our survey shows that across a wide variety of metrics, by 2016, the Chinese government was more popular than at any point during the previous 2 decades. On average, Chinese citizens reported that the government's provision of healthcare, welfare, and other essential public services was far better and more equitable than when the survey began in 2003. Now again, this survey was conducted from 2003 to 2016. What's interesting is from the years 2016 to right now, this sentiment has also increased, and it was even highlighted even more in 2020 with the entire coronavirus outbreak. Now, China has responded amazingly to COVID-19. They have handled that, and they have given a quality of life back to their citizens as fast as possible. So at this point, I ask myself, does the United States want to install democracy in China for the benefit of Chinese people? Or does the United States want to install democracy in China because they realize it is the easiest form of government to manipulate? It is now a known fact that outside influences and Western social media played a pivotal role in determining the outcome of the 2016 US presidential election. I've recommended this film before, but I highly advise you to watch the movie The Social Dilemma. This gives a fascinating insight into the dangers of Western social media and how they have created so much political division in America today. A former Facebook executive shared that if you want to create political turmoil and chaos within a country, there has never been a more effective tool created than Facebook itself. When I look at the United States-backed pro-democracy protests that happened in Hong Kong over the last year, I ask myself, were these protests in an effort to give freedom to the Hong Kong people? Well, it can't be, because Hong Kong ranked number 3 worldwide on the Human Freedom Index. And again, this was achieved 23 years after Hong Kong was handed back to mainland China. I believe that the US government had an interest in Hong Kong because they are locked in the middle of a trade war between the United States and China. Look at the tension between these two great countries. The United States saw an opportunity in Hong Kong. They realized that if they could create this division, this chaos within the city of Hong Kong, it potentially could weaken China, and that potentially could give an advantage to the United States in this long Cold War that we are now entering in. To think about this in another perspective, let me give you a hypothetical scenario. Let's imagine that we have a brand new country in the world, and you and I are given the task to go out in the world and examine all the governments in the world and select the best form of government for this new country. How many people actually think we would look at America right now, look at the turmoil, the chaos, the political mess, just the absolute uncertainty that is in America right now? Who is going to look at America and say, that's the model that I want for this new country? I honestly don't think anybody would look at America and say, that's the type of government I want to emulate. Now, on the flip side, am I advocating that we take China's one-party state and we choose that as the form of government for this new country? Absolutely not, because I'm not naive to think that only one form of government can exist. And this is really a cornerstone and a true core belief of this channel, myself, as an American expat that has traveled around the world and seen many different cultures. The world is too unique and too diverse for only one form of government to exist. One man's medicine is another man's poison. If you were to take China's one-party state and you were to put that in America today, it would create a civil war. It would be an absolute disaster for America. But on the flip side, if you took American-style democracy and installed that into China, it would also weaken China. It would not be the best thing for the country of China. So Secretary of State Michael Pompeo and the United States government officials, if we truly want to help the people of China, if we really want to help Chinese people seek a better life, let's go back in time. Let's go back to 2015 when the countries of China and America were working together. When our greatest tech companies from China and America were coming together to improve technology, to improve infrastructure, to improve the internet. By working together, these two countries could not only benefit each other, but could literally benefit every citizen in the entire world. That is the reality when I say the world wins when China and the United States learn to work together. But we must realize that China will never be America. America will never be China. These will always be differences. And if you are trying to go out and change China by installing your way of life, it's actually a very arrogant thing. Because you don't understand China, you don't understand its history, you don't understand its culture. And even me, someone who has lived in China for 10 years, studied the language, studied the culture, I'm no expert. I'm still learning every single day about China, and I realize that I can live in China for the rest of my life. I will always be a guest within the borders of China, and I realize this. I'm not an expert on determining what are the best policies for the country of China. I believe that should be left to the Chinese people themselves. And again, if we look at the events of the last 30 years, I believe China is doing a very good job in helping its citizens have that better quality of life that we are all seeking in this world. Everyone, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to watch this video. I always appreciate your support as we're growing this community and growing this channel. And I hope that videos like this can actually help build a bridge between these two amazing countries. If you're interested in getting more insights and becoming a member of our team, I invite you to click down in the description below and click on our Patreon account, where I share amazing insights and inside information to our patrons. Guys, my name is Cyrus. Thank you all for your continued support, and we'll see you in the next video.